Hello friends, and welcome to another gameplay educational video, I should say, made by yours truly, SUNSfan and syndereN, where we watch Neil use the guide that we just created for the channel. I'm super excited because it's Gyrocopter. I don't know why, I don't even care actually, I don't know why I'm so excited, it's just Gyrocopter.
Well, you know, we would be a little more excited if this was going to be a game in which Neil would feed like hell, but judging from the stats, he's doing a good job in this game.
Okay.
So.
Well, before we get started,
make some stupid mistakes.
I'm sure. I mean, it's Neil after all. Before we get started, I want to ask you. Well, first, I want to let everybody know that Gyrocopter, of course, has a second pronunciation. It's Gyrocopter. And my question to you: have you ever had a gyro, good sir? They're delicious.
Huh?
Do you know what a gyro is?
Don't know. What is it?
Oh, it's a Greek sandwich made of lamb. Although in America, I think
they're called gyros.
Gyros?
Yeah.
Gyros?
And it's the type of meat that's in there. I'm pretty sure they're just called gyros in Greek. At least it's what they're pronounced as in Germany, and I actually think the Greek pronunciation is that.
I'm sure somebody will let us know if we're wrong, but I'll take your word on this.
Gyrocopter shoots pieces of meat. It's really delicious.
Actually, something.
Imagine that if you replaced the rocket barrage with. I was about to say meat spin. That's not.
It's okay. It fits the channel perfectly.
The meat barrage.
That would be awesome, actually.
Okay. I guess we started out a little awkward in this, so let's get a little bit into what the guide is about. So yeah, it is. Of course, we are looking at the Gyrocopter, and Neil is going to be following the guide as you mentioned, which says that what you generally want to do with Gyrocopter is you want to play a safe lane carry. Sometimes you can play it mid depending on the matchup, but this is the standard position. And you want to max out Rocket Barrage in most cases because it's absolutely insane damage source. It's probably it's the highest damage skill in early game by far, even more than Juggernaut's Blade Fury. Because of the low cooldown, you can get it off 2 times. It's crazy. So. You really want to use this in your lane, and then on level 2 you either get Homing Missile or Flak Cannon. This time Neil got the Homing Missile, so I'm guessing he'll get Flak on level 4. And then the general build is to max Barrage and Flak together.
Now the one thing I want to mention, of course, I think getting Flak level 2 is more common, but since they made the change where Homing Missile will hit Invis units, this lane especially it makes sense to get Homing Missile, since Clinks can't get away. Of course you still need like Dust or something like that to be able to finish him off, but it's still a nice tool to be able to see where exactly he's going.
Yeah. Yeah, so in this game, we should talk a little bit about item build. So he's playing in the safe lane, and Neil has chosen to start with Tango, Salve, and Ring of Protection that he just turned into Basilius with 3 branches. This is one of the most standard build to play in the safe lane. The Ring of Aquila is really useful for you to be able to push the tier 1 tower. You get some much needed mana regen if you want to harass like this. Look at how much damage he did with that. That was absolutely insane. And generally, yeah, it's a solid item for Gyro. Also getting a little more armor never hurts, and it's pretty good when he's playing this lane one-on-one against Clinks, which also makes it useful that he got that much regen, because he's actually gonna need that.
Do they have a jungling Spirit Breaker? What am I seeing here?
That's some next level stuff.
I'm not gonna move the camera, but I'm just looking at the mini-map, and it's definitely Spirit Breaker in the jungle. He's pulling, so I guess it's a support Spirit Breaker.
Yeah. That's the best role for the hero, I guess, still.
He is pretty trash, I guess, overall. But what he really needs is sentries here, because as you can see, Rocket Barrage only does so much damage. I think the invisibility for Clinks it's not quite instant, but it's pretty fast, right?
Yeah, the fade time, oh, there we go. Now just look at this amount of harassment. So I want to point out 1 or 2 things here about how to use this Rocket Barrage. I believe this is mentioned in the guide as well, is as you saw there when he went on the Clinks, he used the Rocket Barrage and attacked him, and because of that he drew creep aggro. And that means if you do that and the melee creeps start attacking you, your Rocket Barrage will spread out to those targets. So in many cases it's better to run down your target with Rocket Barrage without attack clicking him, so you don't get the aggro at the same time. That's also an easier way for you to keep the melee range that you want to have, so the Rocket Barrage, so you stay on target. And then if you're really close, you'll actually be able to cast it again without getting out of range. It has a 400 AoE, and a little bit of a cast point, but not so big that you can't get it off twice if you're close. So I think in this scenario, Neil should just, he's doing the right thing. He's getting good farm. He's out farming Clinks by quite a bit, so that's nice. and he's harassing him whenever he can, which is what you want to do. Since Rocket Barrage isn't that expensive, and he does have the Basilius, he's doing a pretty good job so far.
My goodness. Can they get him? Homing Missile not quite in range, I don't believe. It's almost there. He could do it if he wanted, but like Clinks is going to go Invis, so they will...
so dead. Okay, here comes Rocket Barrage level 3.
Yeah.
Oh man, that did so much damage.
He got probably 2 procs of damage, but hey, Neil will take it any day of the week. That's first blood. But I think something that, I'm not sure if you mentioned it yet, but of course, Rocket Barrage being so amazing early game, and it doesn't even take much mana. It has a very low cooldown, so you can pretty much spam it to your heart's content, especially with that Ring of Basilius like you talked about, giving all that mana regen. Looks like he's going for phase boots. Would you agree with that in this matchup? In the guide, I think I said, I don't know why I know I said, it's between power treads and phase boots, and it really depends on your matchups and how you... Personal preference more than anything, I guess.
For me, the personal preference is phase boots in most cases, because it allows you to much easier stay on target with Rocket Barrage, since, you know, you use the barrage and then you use phase, not in the other order, because then you break your phase. But it's a way easier way for you to stay on target. And Gyro's attack damage also isn't that good, so it's kind of nice to be able to compensate for that with the phase boots bonus damage. Although with agility treads, you probably have enough as well. But it's still some nice extra damage. The cases where I think treads are better is if you're playing a game where you're going to need to be basically a static, much more static in the fight. So it's all about getting your cooldown off and using your auto attacks more than it's about running down people. But in this game, when you look at the matchup he has, he's against double melee carry in Bloodseeker and the Phantom Assassin, and there is arguably Clinks. But apart from that, I actually think when you're playing against melee cores, I think phase boots are really nice, because you want to take the fight to them. If you isolate them with Rocket Barrage, you win that fight hands down.
Now, with the changes to Homing Missile, which I briefly talked about in the guide, 6.81 changed a couple things. Homing Missile, of course, as we talked about, hits invisible units, but in addition, it takes, as you level it up, that is, it takes more hits to kill it. As I think before it was just 3, a static 3. Now it's 3, 3, 4, 5, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, towers basically do half damage. I think it takes 10 at the highest level. How would... Okay, so I did not mention this in the guide because... didn't want to get too convoluted, but if we wanted to play him mid, I think we talked about this. Homing Missile, like getting that really early, like maxing it, might actually be viable. But in a normal lane like this, is there any reason not to get... Is there any reason to level Homing Missile past 1? Before the rest of your skills? Yeah,
so that's the bigger question here, because before this version, people would generally just get 1 point in Homing Missile and then start getting stats. So it was just a way of keeping track of your target and getting a stun off. Okay, that was... Oh my goodness.
Letsuka.
But let's see, now I would still say in most cases when you're playing position 1 like Neil is in this game, you want to max Black Cannon, and it's because it's your tool for farming the jungle. If someone stacks the jungle for him, or if he does it himself with the Helm of the Dominator, he can farm up so incredibly fast with Black Cannon. It's really, really good. Here we go. Oh boy.
See, this would be really good if they have vision. I'm not sure if they do. I mean, he whiffed everything.
A sentry below him, he ran up.
Radiant's middle tower
another sentry put down, I think. I can barely see it.
That's true. They might still get him, actually. But
he's
no
in
one's
range.
looking. Okay, yeah, he's gonna die now. Neil will have mana now.
Oh, they can't see him?
No, he's outside
That's
the AoE.
barely outside AoE. Of course, we're using player perspective, so we can't check for ourselves. But Clinks will get out, it seems. Surprising, to say the least. They did see him move.
Oh, okay.
Or did they?
He's hanging around there. Yeah. To finish off on that trail of thought, though, with the flak, in position 1, you want to have that to farm both ancients and double or triple stacks in your jungle very effectively.
syndereN. Oh my god! Oh my god! Burst damage, Neil. So good at this game. Continue, please, syndereN.
Damn, amazing Rocket Barrage. So, after that point, you want to max Homing Missile now, I would say. In the past, people would get stats, but the scaling from Homing Missile now, and especially the fact that it hits invis units, is actually really useful. So, in this game, I'm expecting Neil to max that out after the flak. But in the mid position, I think in some cases maxing out Homing Missile is actually really powerful, because if you're playing one-on-one, the hero you're against can never get the 5 hits off to destroy the Homing Missile in level 4. And it's a 440 damage nuke on an 11-second cooldown.
Especially if they're melee.
So
if they're ranged, there's a chance just because of the, 1 second cast time. Oh boy.
I think he might get out of this, actually.
I don't know. He has absolutely no mana. Clinks is getting charged. They do see him. He went outside the range of the sentry, actually. But the charge ended up finishing him off nonetheless. And he'll finish those drums now.
I think in the cases where you're against a melee hero in mid, it depends what type of melee it is, because once again, Rocket Barrage is insane against melee heroes, whereas if you're playing against a solid ranged hero, the chance you get in for Rocket Barrage is really low.
True.
But let's say you're playing against a hero like Queen of Pain, right? Then maxing Homing Missile makes a lot of sense, because she can't blink it. If you blink, it just follows you, and it's a reliable source of harassment that will allow you to free farm in the lane.
Well, this is, you're talking about like the first, like the laning stage, like pre-6, essentially, right?
So let's say level 5 then. It's also amazing on level 5.
So that's a level 3 homing missile. That's 4 hits to kill it, right?
Yeah, there's no way.
Bottom tower is under
it would be difficult. I mean, you'd have to be in range to, like, what is it, a 1 second cast time or whatever it's called? That's 1 second of auto attacks, and then however long it takes to recharge.
The thing is, the enemy can't really commit to start hitting the missile before it starts moving, because if you start getting in range of the missile, Gyro will go Rocket Barrage you, and then you have to run because it's the most powerful ability in the game early on, in terms of damage. So, you can fairly safely guard the rocket with 1 point, or the missile with 1 point Rocket Barrage. But yeah, that's another build that we rarely see, but that I think got a lot better now with this version. And there were quite a few abilities actually in this 681 that got changed because they were undervalued.
Yeah.
Or maybe correctly valued, but just not good enough to be valued higher. Let's put it that way. Anyway, Neil is now 3-0-1. He's got 50 CS, which is okay at 11 minutes. It's not fantastic, it's not terrible. And considering he was playing 1-on-1 against Klinks, I think he can be pretty happy with this.
Oh, plus overall, he's still doing better than anybody on the other team. I guess tied with PA overall.
He's good on net worth. He's 1,300 ahead of PA, who's first on the second team, on the Radiant. So that's really good. He starts out with the drum build here. This is one way of building Gyro. It gives you a lot more mobility and survivability, of course, which is nice because this hero is pretty fragile. Other ways of dealing with this are to get, for example, Helm of the Dominator into BKB. But I would say in almost every game, BKB is such a good choice on this hero that you can't bypass it. Because the only thing you want is to stand still in a fight, attack targets with Flak Cannon, use Rocket Barrage if they fight you, and get your cooldown off.
He's in a bunch of creeps here, but the cooldown should do sufficient. Actually, the charge was cancelled for whatever reason by Spirit Break. I'm not sure what it was, and Neil's going to get Fiend's Grip down. I wish I could go back and check it, but I'm too lazy.
I really love that this happened for 2 reasons. First of all, Neil died.
Yeah, of course.
Which makes me happy. Neil, what are you doing? But secondly, this showed the main weakness of Rocket Barrage right there. It did nothing, basically, to the Bane. Maybe it hit him like 2 or 3 times out of, I don't know how many times it hits on level 4. It's kind of, or it's 10 rockets per second always, so it launches 30 rockets, but I think he hit like 1/5 of them maybe on Bane, or 1/6. So did absolutely nothing considering how much he committed for that. So if you're gonna go for a tower dive as Gyro, you better make sure there isn't a creep wave, or that your cooldown on Flak Cannon can do the work for you, because you can't rely on your Rocket Barrage to do it there. We just saw, yeah, that was just flat out an overcommitment there.
Well, so I wish I could go back, but something canceled Spirit Breaker's charge, which ended up being the death of Neil because he overextended at the very end. Could have canceled himself, I'm not sure, but I do want to mention that cooldown, it's not the best ultimate in the game. It's pretty good though when it's in combination with other AoE spells, and this team has those AoE capabilities. I mean, they have the setup with the Spirit Breaker eventually, Dragon Knight stun, Axe Initiation,
Berserker's Call, especially is really good with cooldown.
But then
it's like Berserker's Call down.
Yeah, it pretty much is. I mean, especially Axe has been played so much, but that's another story. Anyway, they have the setup, and then they have what, the Skywrath Mage ult plus cooldown. That's pretty sufficient damage overall.
Yeah. Alright, so now Neil is going to be transitioning into the Helm of the Dominator. This is, I would say, kind of greedy. It's not necessarily a bad choice. In some games, this is the right choice, but we often see in competitive games that people choose between Drum and Helm of the Dominator, and then the next choice is BKB. But you can get both. And in this game, I feel like it's going well enough for Neil to not get the BKB yet, and this isn't the best BKB game either, let's be honest. Rupture goes through it, Fiend's Grip goes through it, PA is all about the physical damage. Sure, she can't Blink Strike, but that's pretty much it. And Stifling Dagger, but meh. And Klinks goes through it as well with Searing Arrows. BKB does nothing against Klinks, so maybe it's better to get some other value items first.
Yol Matisan runs in. Oh, the charge is going to continue for the Spirit Breaker, who's very underleveled.
Here comes Rocket Barrage.
Goodbye, Bane. Oh, there's the silence. And of course, like you talked about, and we talked about this to death in our 6.81 patch video, Blood Rage cannot be dispelled, so BKB won't help you unless you pop it beforehand, but of course, then it can just rupture you. But I guess if you're a Gyro and you're in good position, it won't matter too much.
You know what? If Neil has Flak Cannon on and he gets Blood Raged and BKBs, I think he's going to be happy with that.
That's true.
He's just going to kill everyone with Flak. It's
that's
insane. You really don't want to Blood Rage this guy if he has Flak Cannon up. Seriously, you're just going to kill your team.
So Neil's going to pick up a Helmet of the Dominator, which we aren't told too much about these games beforehand other than that he's fine with us showing them, which would probably indicate he didn't do too awful. But one thing he did say was he was very proud of himself for stacking the creeps with the Helmet of the Dominator, which of course Gyro is one of the best stack. I mean, I'm thinking of the top stackers, probably Luna and Gyro would be top of my list right now.
Yeah,
take out mass
they're both
creeps.
Exceptionally good at it. And that's where the max Flak Cannon build now is going to come into play, because getting those 6 attacks instead of 3 is absolutely crucial for farming the Ancients with the cooldown this ability has. I think PA is pretty dead. Let's see if the cooldown comes off or just a rocket.
Neil, take the kill! Take the kill, Neil! Beautifully done! Oh, Axe got it.
What a stealer!
Well
he did
done,
all
Neil.
the work and then he took the kill.
Really did. He really did. Do you think, I don't want to go back to this again, do you think that the homing missile changes will, I mean, okay, we're going to talk about this in a second. We're going to see the homing missile used, among other things. Rocket Barrage, even in the mid game, still very powerful. Even with that blade mail, won't matter too much.
And notice how Neil did that. That was actually very wise. He cast his Rocket Barrage and then he ran left of Bloodseeker because there were 2 creeps on the right of him that could have taken the barrage. But if he outranges them but stays in range of Bloodseeker, the entire barrage goes on him. So if you know where the creeps are and that they're not moving, you can play that to your advantage by trying to avoid being able to hit them with barrage like Neil did right there. It didn't matter, but it was a good little detail to show how you can compensate. Here we go.
Oh my god, Skywrath Mage is so good. Such a good hero. Of course, Neil not taking the sleep off of DK, because he's a good teammate after all. And here comes the charge. They don't have any... Okay, he does have Dust. He's going to get Fiend Script right away. I'm casting this like it's a real match for whatever reason. My god. Neil just 1v1s the Bane without issue. And this is actually turning into a stomp, it seems. Although Bloodseeker's doing sufficient damage, but there's 4 heroes surrounding him.
Rocket Barrage is doing so much work. Let's do a little math on that. It does 30 rockets.
I think it's 600 something damage.
And they each do 23 damage. That's 690, right?
Okay,
yeah. 690 damage if the entire barrage goes off on 1 hero. That's more than a level 1 Finger of Death on a 5.5 second cooldown. Okay.
Well, obviously there are some caveats. You have to be up close and personal on a hero that isn't really that tanky, although Neil's build makes him a little bit more so. And something I mentioned in the guide.
Potato.
I love the potato. Tomato and potato are my favorite creeps now, by far. I used to hate them when I was playing Doom, which I guess I still do because they suck for Doom. But on their own, without Doom in the jungle, they're awesome.
Tower is under attack.
Anywho, he's gonna steal the Ancients. Has he been stacked yet? I think he used his Helmet of Dominator.
He just got his creep, so he sent it over to the other guy.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
This is really nice from Neil to go and scout here and find this out. I'm not sure who they were stacking for. Okay, PA is getting close to Battle Fury, so they're stacking for her.
Speaking of her, Battle Hunger, Rocket Barrage, Battle Cry, or Berserker's Call, I should say, and the Calling Blade finishes him off. Neil's getting carried by the Zax.
Don't go back up because, okay, now he sees 3 heroes on the minimap, so he knows he's probably safe here. Only Clinks can show up, but then X doesn't have mana either, so Clinks could actually kill Neil right now.
Well, what does Clinks have? Let's see. He doesn't have an Orchid. I really don't think he could kill him, to be honest. He has nothing right now.
But Neil doesn't know that, for sure. And he doesn't know where Clinks is.
For sure,
so
since it's Neil, definitely doesn't know.
Did Neil just lose his creep? I think Clinks aided.
Are you serious?
Yeah. That sucks.
It's a great counter to any Helm, is having Clinks on the other team. That's pretty good.
So Neil is like, I'm very proud of stacking this game. He hasn't stacked yet.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm wondering what he was talking about. Either way, they have a very gank-heavy lineup, and this is another thing that we wanted to just not harp on, but to emphasize. Gyro is one of the few carries that can really take part in team fights early, and you're seeing that this game. I mean, he can hit harder than any other hero, like as far as doing overall damage with the Divine Rapier. which
Radiant's
you don't
middle
see.
tower
I
has
should say you
fallen.
do see
Generally don't
decently
see
often.
Divine Rapier that often at 19 minutes.
Well, at 19 minutes, sure. But I mean,
Dire's
what other
bottom
carry
tower
at
is
20
under
minutes
attack.
can really participate this often in team fights? I mean, I'm thinking Luna is okay, but not that great. I think Gyro is really top of the charts.
He is one of the best for sure. There are others that do it very well too, but as you said, the really nice thing for Gyro is just the way his skill set works in all stages of the game. That's one of the big advantages of Gyro in comparison to other carries, is he has a good early game and a good late game, where some carries need time to come online and others are really good early on but kind of fall off later on. You could say a hero like PA, in terms of very early game, not as strong as Gyro at all. And then when we get to late game, she gets really, really good when she gets 3 or 4 items. But Gyro is good with 1 item in the early game. He's good with 2 items in the mid game, and he's awesome with 4 items in the mid-late game. So it's really one of those heroes that can, as long as he gets the
Radiant's
farm
bottom
and
tower
fits into the
is under
lineup, he's very rarely going to be a bad pickup.
And we're seeing call down
good
being
call
used along
down.
with
That's
Rocket
very
Barrage.
nice.
My goodness, PA has done nothing this game. Neil gets slept, but here comes the Charge of Darkness. They're really worried about Neil's auto attack damage, but they should really be worried about this.
Radiant's bottom
This
tower
flaming,
is under attack.
What is he? A cow? A blue cow, I guess.
If they're worried about his auto attack damage, they shouldn't be giving him
Blood Rage.
Blood Rage.
Yeah. The
Radiant's
Banes
bottom tower
Enfeeble
has
plus
fallen.
Blood Rage kind of cancel each other out to some degree, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, Neil got the BKB now. So,
Dire's top
in
tower
terms of
is under
timing
attack.
on items, this is pretty damn good. I would say, of course, he has 7 kills and 6 assists, and his team has taken 4 towers now, so that's why he has what I would
Dire's
compare
top
to
tower
professional
is
level
under
farm
attack.
in this game. And it's not because of his CS, because that's not that high. If you only farm with Gyro, and your team sets you up for stacking the jungle and farming that with Flak Cannon, at 22 minutes you can have about 200 CS. That's if you only do that, and do it very effectively, so... He has half of that, but he has many kills and assists, and the towers are down, so the overall
Radiant's
total
bottom
gold is
tower
comparable.
Is under attack.
And a good rule of thumb is if you can have phase boots plus 1 item plus BKB sub 20 minutes, it's pretty good. He has 2 items though. He got both Drum and Helm of the Dominator first. If he didn't get either of them, he would have had this BKB at like 18 or 19 minutes, I think. So this is a good timing from Neil so far.
What do you think about a more utility Gyrocopter? Like somebody that would get an Aghanim Scepter, because that is not a carry item whatsoever. You're
Then
not
you're
a fan
playing
of
it
it?
as a support role. And then I still feel like, you know, the problem with justifying Ags on this hero is the way Flak Cannon works. If you're getting Ags, you're basically getting Ags instead of a damage item, which would work with your Flak Cannon. So no matter what role Gyro plays, I feel like it's a very, very niche item.
Well, okay, I'll give you a scenario where it's great. Let's say you're getting, your main goal is to push, and you're kind of like in a tie game, so to speak, as we're going to see Neil in another team
Call
fight.
down again, very nice placement.
Boy, they really don't know how to position themselves, but that's okay. Neil's going to get all the credit that he needs because he's an awesome player. Neil actually is pretty good, so I'm giving him a little too much crap here. But I think something I want to mention, if you're 6-slotted on Gyro with all the items, you can actually buy an Aghanim Scepter and just drop it on the ground, and anytime your ult's off cooldown, just use it to push the lane. Does that make sense? Just swap it out. A little trick from SUNSfan to you.
An EE Sama dedicated 7-item build with Courier.
Yeah. No,
Or,
exactly.
You want to do it every time you're in Fountain.
Or that, yeah.
Radiant's middle barracks
Yeah,
are
I get
under
it, but
attack.
you
Radiant's
know, I
middle
would say
barracks
very
has
rarely, if
fallen.
you're playing like a global strategy, for example, and call down can make the difference, then it's great. That's kind of the only scenario where I'm thinking realistically it's going to happen, because else it's almost a full MKB you could buy instead. And sure, that doesn't give any sort of health or mana or, you know, overall just stats, but the thing is, even if you're playing support as Gyro, you will be getting 4 points in Flak Cannon sooner or later. If you're playing full support, then maybe you max Missile and Rocket Barrage first. But you'll get Flak Cannon mid-game. We've seen Aki actually doing this a couple of times for Alliance, where they play support Gyro, and in late game he actually ends up getting a Rapier on a support. Because he gets farmed with Flak Cannon, and he realizes how to use his gold very effectively, and can actually turn into a carry. So even in that scenario, I still think damage items are just better for this hero's kit.
So what you're saying is in 6.82, the Ags will be buffed up a bit for Gyro, right?
Yeah, it's actually, the call down is going to hit the entire map instead of being global.
It still wouldn't be that good. I mean, come on.
And then instead of just the standard sound, it's going to be nuclear launch detected.
Oh my god, and Ags
It's
picked up
one
on
explosion as
Skyrath.
well instead of 2.
Holy
Okay,
jeez.
that is... Okay, Ags on Skyrath is arguably one of the worst Ags in the game.
How many? You can
and-
cast like 4 maximum with like max items, right?
He,
Something like that?
doesn't have the
Dyer's
items for
top
that.
tower
He can
is
cast 2
under
on top. I
attack.
guess it's because the game is pretty
Dyer's structures
one-sided in
are
their win.
fortified.
And that's also a tangent anyway. Let's see what Neil is doing. He is going
Dyer's
for
top tower
Butterfly now,
has
which
fallen.
is a good item of choice. There's a couple of reasons why this is great here. First of all, he's up against 3 physical damage carries with
Radiant's
Bloodseeker,
bottom
PA,
tower
and
is under
Clinks.
attack.
So the evasion is going to be very handy. And for Gyro in general, it's a great item. It gives a lot of damage because he's agility based, and of course synergizes well with Flight Cannon because of that. So.
And if this game was
Tower
actually
is under
close
attack.
and he wasn't getting the farm he really
Radiant's
needed,
bottom tower
and he's really
has
worried about
fallen.
survivability, I think in addition to a BKB, a Lincoln Sphere might be something he'd look at as well, especially with Rupture. I mean, if you BKB first, then Blood Rage cannot be cast, obviously, and the
Yeah,
only
so
thing
then
they
you
can
block
really cast
Rupture.
is right,
Rupture and Fiend's
Rupture and Fiend's Grip, which is 2 big ultis that you're using to kill
That's true.
a Gyrocopter.
It's one of the situational items that I believe is in the guide as well.
Right.
In some
Dyer's
cases, it's kind of a
top tower
situational
is
item when
under
you think about it
attack.
for almost every hero, especially cores, where in some games having a spell block is just that good. Oh, let's see, we're gonna have another good call down here, it looks like.
Oh,
Yeah.
big plays,
this is
Nigel! And of course, the Blade Mail does nothing with that BKB.
Okay. Spells cast, people die.
I think we need to show this to
Radiant's
some
middle
professional
tower
teams
is
that are
under
looking for an
attack.
extra player. Maybe a stand-in. Neil can start off from there. AA, or I'm sorry, AAA, AAA on the Clinks.
I mean, technically, if you're playing in $50 tournaments, you're also professional.
That's true. Ooh,
Ah, wow. Awesome.
well done, Neil. He's playing pretty good. His positioning hasn't
Yeah.
been too bad for the majority of the game.
He
stacked
stacking
once.
it. he
Radiant's
fucked it
middle
up again.
tower
So this is what he was gloating about? 1 stack?
Okay, I think he was being sarcastic.
No.
He wanted you to point
You
it
don't
out.
understand.
Bottom tower
Neil
is under
doesn't
attack.
understand what sarcasm is, syndereN.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Maybe
Because
he
every time I'm sarcastic,
maybe he
things
has
I'm
been
being serious.
playing you for a
Radiant's
fool all the
bottom
time, and he
tower has
actually
fallen.
his entire life.
Radiant's
So you're
bottom
saying-
towers
No, it's
are
actually
under
a joke.
attack.
You're saying he's a genius. I find that hard to believe.
I think that's stretching it.
I
a bit.
refuse to believe that.
Radiant's middle tower
I think he's
is
just
under attack.
he's playing you.
Hey, does the slow from Stifling Dagger stay on when you BKB? Just random
question.
mechanic question.
I don't.
Some of these
think
I just
so.
I know
Yeah.
I used to know this and it fails me. So somebody in the
It's
comments.
so hard to remember.
Although
all of
we'll
those,
check
to be
right
honest.
after this game, so I guess we don't need to know. But an interesting thing to think about, you know, real interesting.
Yeah.
I know one thing just is completely random, and I still don't understand why
there's
this is
the
the
stack
case.
from Neil. Okay,
Oh.
maybe he was
Oh,
serious.
big plays!
He
Well, the
might
game
have
has
actually
to be
been
almost
serious.
over.
Yeah. So considering he had the Helm of the Dominator at what was it, 15 minutes or 16? He should have stacked 3 or 4 times as much as he has. So the fact that if he's proud of this, that's really bad. If it's a joke, it's okay. But at least we get to see how effective it is, right?
Right.
He's been in this camp for like 6 seconds with his item build, and he just got about, I don't know, 1,200 gold from that in, like, yeah, what was that, 15 or 20 seconds. So if he would have done this very much more actively, he would have had his butterfly and more now. Of course, his first creep got eaten by Clink, so that's a little unfortunate, but still.
Oh, you almost made me spit up my drink, syndereN.
Damn it.
Appreciate that. Almost.
I wish I did it for real.
Yep.
Oh, here comes the argument from Clinks as to why they lost the game.
0607.
0 minus 7.
Oh my goodness, that's
Apparently.
even worse than I thought. My goodness.
No, having minus 7 deaths is pretty good, right?
That's true, actually. Doesn't that just translate directly into kills? You're seeing DK, the Rupture is so good. It's, what were we saying? It's HP loss, but it's not really. It's universal and HP loss. And we're seeing Gyro. Nyol Matisan destroying everyone. He took a lot of damage from that Blade Mail, but
Yeah, he could have popped his BKB if he was worried
Radiant's
about it. Has he
middle
actually
tower
used that
is
this
under
game?
attack.
Once, I think?
let's see.
Twice. He
Twice,
just used
yeah.
it twice. Okay. So yeah, this is of course, as I
Radiant's
said, not the
bottom
best
barracks
BKB
are
game,
under
but I still
attack.
think it's valid to
Radiant's
get
courier
even
has
then.
been killed.
Like just
Radiant's bottom
because of the
barracks
nature of the
has
hero and
fallen.
how you want to take team fights, I would say this is on my. You know, I
Radiant's
like making
bottom
these top 3
barracks
lists.
has fallen.
This is probably on my top 3 most most dependent on BKB carry. I really think Gyro should almost always get this item. It just fits the hero so well because you want to commit, you want to be able to stand still and attack, not worrying about getting stunned, and you don't have so much built-in survivability. So it's really, really crucial for this hero.
I'm gonna see how many Skyrath uses ult once, and he's out of mana.
Yeah, nice eggs, bro.
Okay, I probably just made that up. It might have been twice, but either way, it's hilarious.
There's the butterfly Neil. So if this game went longer, this is probably the stage when you want to go for an MKB. And the reason this is such a good choice for Gyro is not really because of the True Strike, or that's actually incorrect. That's also because of the True Strike. But there's a couple of reasons this item is really good on Gyro. The first one is it's in terms of raw damage, apart from
oh my god. He gets what he deserves for oh, he doesn't die.
No, he doesn't. So
Radiant's middle tower
how much damage this item gives, just raw damage, relative to its cost, it's very effective. And since Flak Cannon spreads on all targets, that's a lot of AoE damage.
Radiant's Ancient is under attack.
The mini stun, what's that actually called that MKB has? That proc?
Yeah, it's a mini stun.
I don't know what that if that effect has.
Oh my god, he almost killed himself just then.
Radiant's Ancient is under attack.
But that of course only hits on the primary target. So everything Flak Cannon spreads is only your damage. It's no effects. It can't proc Skadi, it can't proc crits, and MKB can't. But the True Strike from MKB, which I a moment ago said wasn't important, is actually kind of important because that means all the Flak Cannon hits actually can't miss uphill either, and will also hit PA. So it's a very nice item both for damage and for making sure all your Flak Cannon attacks hit high ground.
I can't wait to talk to Neil about his stacking. That was the most impressive thing this game, syndereN. I don't know what you think.
Hey guys, make sure to point out I hit great stacking. I stacked twice.
Well, before he actually hears this audio, I'm gonna actually ask him just to make sure. Like, I want to make sure that he's not being sarcastic first. Then we'll get back to you guys. Anyway, thanks for watching this gameplay guide brought to you by SUNSfan, syndereN, and Neil. We're going to try to do this weekly, and I say try because we are going to the TI4 qualifiers. We might have to make a few in advance, but of course, who knows what happens. Maybe we can even do some at BTS, but we'll see. Yeah. Any parting words, syndereN?
Not too much. I feel like, honestly, that was, compared to the Timbersaw game, I feel like Neil played better in this one, and the Timbersaw game wasn't that bad, but in this game he just carried pretty hard. He used his abilities very well. Call Down is sometimes a tricky ability to use, but he used it very well this game. There was only 1 or 2 whiffs, and the other ones were really good. And you need to remember when you use that ability that you need to predict what's going to happen in the fight, and Neil pretty much saw how the movement was going to work out, so he managed to hit the targets as he should. And yeah, he got the right amount of farm. Main points of criticism: stack more, farm a bit more, but his teamfight contribution was really good. So solid performance, and I feel like it does the guide justice. So good job, Neil.
Thumbs up from SUNSfan and syndereN to you, Neil. We're gonna have to create a new rule where he doesn't have to win the game for us to do it, because then it wouldn't be fun, you know? I feel like he shouldn't win every time. Let's get him like getting destroyed by somebody.
We don't have that rule already, do we?
No, I don't think so.
I think we have the rule that it needs to be a somewhat good game.
Right. But
so
knowing him, he wants to look as good as possible.
You mean we should make a rule where he has to lose? So he has to lose every game, but has to put up a fight. Is that what you want to do?
Not necessarily.
Or just only upload stumps and talk about how the hero should be played.
Yes.
Yeah. So Neil is trying to follow the guide, but unfortunately he didn't get the first core item. Oh.
He couldn't even finish his boots, for God's sake. I mean, what are they going to learn from that? Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any feedback on anything we did or what we can improve upon, let us know in the comments. If you still want us to do this, let us know as well. Appreciate that. And until next time, have a good one.